Okay, last problem on this page. So find an equation of the graph shown. Um, Here, I hope that we can like see that the graph is like shifted up. The way I kind of think of it is that the x-axis is like the halfway line. So if the x-axis doesn't act like that, there is going to be a shift. Now, what's the shift? What's the amplitude? All of that stuff. This graph is a little hard to see, so I have to apologize. There's only so many examples of this I can find online. So let's, for argument's sake, let's say that it goes up to 5 and it goes down to -1. All right, so how do we find the amplitude? How do we find the vertical shift? What kind of graph is it? All that good stuff. So to find the amplitude, we're going to take 1/2 the big number. Oops, all right, big M. 1/2 of 5, the high point, minus the low point, -1. So, and we take the absolute value because amplitude's a distance. So 1/2 of 6, which is 3, and that is my amplitude. So if my amplitude's 3 and I go all the way up to 5, then my graph gets cut in half at 2. So for argument's sake, like I said, I know the graph isn't perfect, but let's say that this perfectly is symmetrical about the line y equals 2. So that means my k is equal to 2. We're going to avoid any horizontal shift here. So if we just take a look at this curve now, we see it goes up, it goes down. It actually makes this sine curve, like I said, along this new vertical shift. So I'm going to call this a sine curve. And then the next question is, all right, what's the period? Okay, once again, a little hard to see on this graph, but if we look, it looks like it makes 2 cycles within 2 pi, which means that it would make 1 cycle in 1 pi. So I'm going to say period is pi, and then for the same reason, kind of above in the previous problem, we have pi is equal to 2 pi over b. B is equal to 2. So I have A, I have B, I have a vertical shift. So I'm just going to throw everything together and write it up. So I'm going to call this y equals, we said the amplitude was 3, sine, b is 2, so sine of 2 theta, and then plus k, plus 2. And there it is. That is my equation of this graph. With all these, you can get kind of fancy and you can make shifts happen, but you don't need to. And if you don't have to, let's not do it because it just gets more complicated. But yeah, that looks great.